Hello and welcome. I'm Watch Gollum and bringing you videos on watches, clocks, horology. So, customary wristwatch check. Today on my left wrist, I'm wearing my Seiko 6309 8020. Did a video on this one recently. Really enjoying it, particularly its accuracy. And on my right wrist, I'm wearing the trusty old Tag Heuer 2000 automatic. Okay, now, if you're into watches, and like me, there are probably only a couple of really truly iconic watches out there in the world. One would be the Rolex Submariner, and the other would be the Omega Speedmaster Professional. And a few years back now, around about March 2022, Swatch introduced their MoonSwatch, which was basically a swatch made to look like a Speedmaster Professional. And here is one. It's okay. It's made of plastic. It's got a plastic crystal. They call it bioceramic. It's got a stopwatch that works. It also does happen to have a quite nice little split function. So you can pause and carry on. Timing. Measures up to 60 minutes. No date. Quartz only. But yeah. But for the price, yeah, right. However, you know, it's not a bad watch. The alignment's good. The dial's pretty good. It lines up. It's quite accurate. It's got a picture of the moon on the back. This is the Mission to the Moon version. It's got this Omega strap, which when you fold over has got Speedmaster written on it. And the world went nuts for them. Yeah, March 2022, people queued up outside because you could only buy them in the boutiques, which was great if you lived in a big city with a boutique. And if you didn't, it was absolutely rubbish. They weren't selling it online. So demand went through the roof. Everybody went mad. People were buying them up. I even tried to buy one once and got nowhere because, of course, they didn't have any in stock. And people were selling them on eBay for exorbitant amounts, much more than they're worth. I mean, you can buy a Swatch quartz chronograph on eBay. You can get a second-hand one for around a sort of 50 quid mark. Hey, you can even get their steel cased versions, which are much better for about the same, and there ain't a lot of difference in it. So these were a little bit of a rip-off. However, Swatch, there was an alternative, and there was another chronograph that Swatch released many years ago to absolutely zero fanfare. It almost seemed it didn't happen. Even Swatch themselves didn't even really acknowledge the watch. So let me show you what it is. I'm going to show you. And it is this. It is the Swatch. It came under their Irony brand. It's the Swatch Right Track. And this particular one is the S for Sugar VGB 400. This is the black dial version. When they came out, as usual with Swatch, they just made 4 versions. And what is it? Well, it's an automatic chronograph. It has a sapphire crystal. It has a steel tachymeter ring. It has steel crown, steel quite unique pushers. It has a partial display case back. I will just show you very quickly. On this particular model, it is a very partial. It shows part of the winding movement, but also shows the balance. It's glass, it's steel. The only bit that's really plastic on this watch is the case. Now, the movement inside is the ETA C01.211. And it was kind of seen as a new movement when it came out. Apparently, Tissot wanted a low-cost automatic movement for some of its ranges, and they went to ETA, which is the movement manufacturer part of the Swatch Group, and they said, can you make us one? And what they did was they went back to one of their old workhorse movements, which was the Lemania 5100, and they sort of brought it down, took away some of the functionality, but the architecture is very, very similar. If you open up the back of one of these and the back of a Lemania 5100 or even an Omega caliber 1045, they look identical. There are differences, however. So the Mania 5100 had a central minute counter for the chronograph. It had a 24-hour indicator at the top, and it had a day complication as well. So what they've done here is they've turned it into 6-hour totalizer at the bottom. You've got 30-minute counter at the top. You've got your constant seconds in the left here, and you've got a date window here. But not only that, it hand winds, it hacks. They reduced the beat error from 2800 down to 21600, which isn't a bad thing. It uses a plastic escape wheel, or Delrin I think is the term, and the same for the anchor. So it's 15 joules, so it's lost 2 of the pallet joules. And there's a lot of controversy about it when it came out, but I can assure you, having owned these watches for quite some time, they are fine. That's not a problem. Now, these came out in 2009, and most of the ones will say on the dial, somewhere down at the bottom, Swatch, and it'll say 2009. There was a number of different versions. There was this version. There was a sort of almost see-through version with a horrible see-through strap. But I picked this version simply because I'll get my pointer, if I can find my highly sophisticated Nando's pointer. They have here on the chronograph markers for the minutes, so 30, 25, 20, etc. And those are good as pointers for the hour and minute hand as well. All the chronograph hands are in red. The chronograph seconds has a luminous pip on the top of it. The only bits that are luminous are the minute and hour hand. They are a little on the loud side, but I kind of quite like hearing my watch tick. The rotor only winds in one direction, which is exactly the same as all the Mania 5100s, and it winds in that direction. So very simple, very basic. I'll try and zoom in if I can on the, you might get to see the plastic. It's going to be difficult. Just see it there. I suppose it will help if I stop wobbling. Try again. Yeah, it's just in there. It's really not showing. Let me give the case a clean. Hold on. All right, let's try it again. Right, zoom in. You can just see it in there beating away. Doesn't like focusing this close up. Anyway, now it's a snapback case, and a word of warning: if you do go to take these apart, you have to remove the straps, and they're on very, very, very tight. Let me just go and get my measurement tool. Like that. So if you do take the case back off, and there's a green seal in there, if it distorts, you will never get the case back on properly. So the trick here is to remove the seal, get an egg cup, boil up a kettle of water, pop the seal into the egg cup of water, leave it for a few minutes, and it will reform itself. Then cover it in silicone grease, put it on, and use like a crystal press or something like that to push the case back on. It is very, very a very tight fit. But yeah, the straps on these are also very good. They're leather. The Swatch way of mounting the straps with the bar going all the way through, so it's drilled, if you like, is actually really, really, really good. I think it's actually stronger than having a standard spring bar. But they fit very, very well. It's nice and thick. You also get a steel signed buckle Swatch. I have another one. Here we go. I actually have 3. I've got 2 of these. This is the version is the SVGK 407. So this is the blue version. This came out a bit later, and for some reason all the hands are the same color, which makes it a little bit harder to read, and there's no luminous pip on the second hand. This is probably the hardest to read of the two, but I still like it. It's blue, and the case back is slightly more transparent. I will just show you. Ta-da! There you go. And as you can see, I wonder if we can zoom in on that one a bit better. they're beating away. But yeah, these are actually very good watches. I mean, out the box, their accuracy is second to none. I'm just going to I will stick this on the TimeGrapher in a moment, but just to quickly do some measurements. So thickness, we have just over 14.5 mil. I will try and do lug to lug, but it's a swatch, so, or lug width I should say. We're looking at 20, yeah, we'll say 22. Lug to lug, and this is hard to measure a watch like this. We're looking at 50, ooh, crikey. Is that 51.5 lug to lug? And it is a wide watch, but they wear quite well. We're looking at 44 width. But they're slightly tapered and they're very comfortable to wear, these watches. They really, really are. I mean, I've got the chronograph running on this. I think it's really nice. As I say, got your minutes up here, hours down here. And you might ask, why did they make it 6 hours? Well, that's a very good question. This was raised when it first came out. And the very simple thing is, at the time, to have another automatic chronograph movement, which they do very well out of, called the Valju 7750. That also is the similar layout, but it measures 12 hours and it beats at 2800 beats per hour. And I don't think they really wanted this movement threatening their Valju 7750 sales, so they dropped the counter down to 6 hours. But I still find it useful. I get a bit annoyed by companies who charge £5,000 for an automatic chronograph watch that only measures 45 minutes or 60 minutes tops. You know, to me, I'd just go and buy a Seiko 6139 and have it refurbed and have myself a watch I actually want to wear. But yeah, but that's just me. So this is it. Yeah, let's see what it's like on the TimeGrapher. Now, their settings are 48 degrees on the lift angle, which is, I'm assuming, down to the plastic palette. But let's see. I don't know how well wound this one is up. So let's see what she does. I've taken into account that this watch was bought in 2010. Yeah, a little low on wind, but now I confess I have tweaked this one. This one has been through my process, but only just. It was only tweaked for, it was running very fast. It was running 15 seconds a day. It's been sat in retirement for the last while, so it probably needs a good wind, but that's a pretty damn clean signal from this watch. Let's say they're 15 joules, and I think the construction is very simple. Here we go. So we're getting a slight increase, but yeah, you can't really go wrong with that. That is pretty good. Let's say it needs a little bit of a wind, because I know it sits around the 280, 290 mark on amplitude when it's fully wound. Actually, the chronograph was running while I was doing that one as well. Let me just see if I get a slightly higher reading. Shouldn't be that much different. Let's see. Try her again. Zoom in. Probably won't be a lot different. There you go, 270. So yeah, I just gave it a little bit of a wind. But yeah, these are fantastic watches. They really are. And I think, and this is my own opinion, I think this is also just one, the SVG B400 is probably one of the best looking chronographs that Swatch have ever done, and I think a top looking chronograph, just period. It really is very, very nice. This is okay. I kind of bought this one thinking if anything goes wrong with this one, I've got a donor movement, but I haven't got to that point. It's there. And I don't know, these are quite rare now because people are buying these, they're taking the movements out and they're using them to repair the Tissot's that the movement was originally designed for. When these came out, they were circa around in the UK about £209, £210. So what would that be? That'd be about $260. And they're starting to gain in price. So you're looking at around about £240 to £300 to buy these in good condition off eBay. But I think they're a bargain, and compared to what you pay for one of these, sorry guys, this is miles better. And even Swatch themselves didn't know what they had. When my very first one, I said I have 3 of these. My very first one had a big accident. The glass got cracked, so I decided, it was only a few months old, so I'll send it back to Swatch for repair. I got a letter back from Swatch saying they don't repair quartz watches. They said they can't be opened, they can't be repaired. And I wrote back saying, no, it's an automatic watch. It even says in your instructions, and it does say the instructions in these, you can open it up, the movement's fully serviceable and it can be adjusted. And Swatch wrote back saying, I'm sorry, we don't repair quartz watches. They even listed it as a quartz watch. So a big argument, well, not argument, I'll say discussion ensued. In the end, I gave up and I bought myself a crystal. Bought myself a crystal press, did what I could, pop the crystal back in, and that was that. But yeah, so, and they just seem to have fallen by the wayside. But there we go, a very, very underrated watch, a very beautiful watch, very useful watch, and I love them. I really do. I think they're the bargain of the century for a Swiss automatic chronograph. You just can't go wrong. Anyway, please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.